Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address NASSCOM Technologies and Leadership Forum this afternoon. Theme of the forum is Shaping the Future Towards a Better Normal. Forum, a vibrant platform to bring together key leaders from the world of technology and innovation. India to take one more step towards becoming Atmanirbhar in the energy sector. Prime Minister to lay the foundation stone for key projects of the oil and gas sector in Tamil Nadu and also to dedicate them to the nation. India's Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla reaches Moscow on a two-day visit. Says travelling in COVID times indicate importance India attaches to relationship with Russia. This is the first abroad visit of the Foreign Secretary this year. Will hold a Foreign Office consultations to strengthen India-Russia special privilege and strategic partnership. In the horrific Siddhi road accident in Madhya Pradesh, yesterday death toll reaches 50, one still missing. Search and rescue operations resumed the early morning today. And in sports, Liverpool's great performance in the Champions League. In the first leg of the round of 16, RB Leipzig loses 2-0 to Liverpool. At the same time, PSG defeat Barcelona 4-1 in their own house with the help of a hat-trick from Mbappe. And top seed Ashley Barty suffers a shock defeat at the Australian Open quarterfinals. Loses to 25 seed Karolina Machkova. In the men's quarterfinal, Nadal to clash with Tsitsipas, while Rublev fights with Medvedev. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to English News. I am Anil Thomas. Now for the stories in detail, starting first up with Prime Minister's two events for the day. The first one happening at NASSCOM, and let's take a look at what's going to happen in NASSCOM today, where the Prime Minister is going to address that particular important meeting when it comes to NASSCOM's Leadership and Technology Summit there. The 29th editions of that is going to take place today, and the Prime Minister is going to address that in length. And the Prime Minister, it's been organized from the 17th to the 19th of February. It's a flagship event of the National Association of Software and Service Companies, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the forum today via video conferencing. Well, what's in store? It's a vibrant platform that brings together key leaders from the world of technology and innovation. The event will host 1,600 participants from more than 30 countries, and more than 30 products will be showcased during the 3-day of talks. NTLF 2021, with the overarching theme Shaping the Future Towards a Better Normal, aims to achieve 3 key objectives. Mark as a celebration of technology, which has served as a backbone to boost businesses during the crisis, draw a roadmap for the way ahead towards building a better future and bringing out the importance of trust and responsible tech in the hyper-virtual world. Well, this particular year, 2021, marks the 29th year of the NASSCOM Technology and Leadership Forum, a platform which has been the voice of the $190 billion industry ecosystem. Well, India to take one more steps towards becoming Atmanirbhar or self-reliant in the energy sector. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will dedicate to the nation and lay the foundation of key projects of the oil and gas sector in Tamil Nadu today via video conferencing. Prime Minister will dedicate to the nation the Ramanathapuram Thoothukudi natural gas pipeline and the gasoline desulfurization unit at Chennai Petroleum Corporation Limited. Prime Minister Modi will also lay the foundation stone of the Kaveri Basin refinery at Nagapattinam. These projects will result in substantial socio-economic benefits and will boost the country's march towards becoming self-reliant in the energy sector. Governor and Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu and Union Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas will also be present on the occasion. Well, shifting to central part of India, and a horrific accident that took place in Madhya Pradesh's Siddhi district on Tuesday. The death toll has now increased to 49 after 2 bodies of children were recovered this morning. Search and rescue operations are underway to find the remaining 2 who are still missing. A bus carrying over 50 passengers fell into a canal in the Siddhi district on Tuesday after the driver lost control over the vehicle. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other senior leaders expressed their condolences to the bereaved families. Prime Minister Modi, while expressing deep shock over the accident, announced 2 lakhs each to the next of kin of those deceased from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund and 20,000 rupees to the injured. Prime Minister's office in a tweet said, and I quote, that the bus accident in MP Siddhi is horrific. Well, so far 58 bodies have been found in the Chamoli disaster. 2 more dead bodies were found last night. 31 out of the 58 bodies have been identified so far, while no information has been received about the remaining 27 bodies. It is believed that a total of 204 people are still missing in this unfortunate incident. Search and rescue operations are still on while evacuation work for the trapped people are going on in the Tapovan tunnel. So far 145 meters have been evacuated, and the NDRF teams have reached the virtual tunnel under the main tunnel through the vertical drill. This is also a possibility of the employees of Tapovan power project getting stranded. Water has been pumped out from the tunnel by pumping. Search and rescue operations are going on in the Tapi Valley along with Reni. Well, Foreign Secretary of India Harshvardhan Shringla has arrived in Moscow on a 2-day visit. On his arrival to Moscow, Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla said travelling in this COVID times gives an indication the importance India attaches to the relationship with Russia. This is also the first foreign visit of the Foreign Secretary this year. He will be meeting with the Deputy Foreign Minister Igor Murgulov and will discuss all the gambit of bilateral relations.
Happy to be here in this beautiful city of Moscow. This is the first visit I've made outside India in this new year. And traveling in these COVID times gives an indication of the importance we attach to our relations with Russia. I'm looking forward to my meeting with my counterpart, Deputy Minister Morgulov, tomorrow. I'm sure it will be a very, very fruitful and productive discussion. I'm also meeting academics, media personnel, get a little bit of taste of Russian culture. And on the whole, I think we are on our way to see how we can add momentum to an already vibrant relationship, a very strong India-Russia special and privileged strategic partnership.
Well, the visit aimed at putting in place a framework for Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to India later this year for the annual summit between the two countries. The summit could not take place last year due to the situation arising out of COVID-19. Well, India and Russia held bilateral consultations on the UNSC issues yesterday in Moscow at the delegation level. The Russian delegation was led by Peter H. Lev, the director of the Department of International Organizations, while Prakash Gupta, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, led the Indian delegation along with officials from the Embassy of India in Moscow. Well, both sides appreciated intensive ongoing bilateral contacts on the UN issues, including with respect to a wide range of issues on the UNSC agenda. The Indian delegation briefed the Russian side on India's priorities during the UNSC tenure. While Ethiopian Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Demek Mekonnen Hassan, arrived in New Delhi on Tuesday on a 4-day official visit to India. The main agenda between the two countries includes discussions on all sides of bilateral relations. Well, now taking a look at the latest update on COVID-19 from across the country. With yet another significant achievement, India's active cases are declining on a daily basis. While the total active cases of the country now comprise only 1.25% of the total cases, while 323 new active cases were recorded in the last 24 hours, while 11,833 new recoveries were registered in the same period. The national recovery rate now currently stands at 97.33%, and it continues to be one of the highest globally. The continued high rise of recoveries has led to progressively improving national recovery rate, and the total recovered cases are 1,06,44,858. The gap between active cases and recovered cases is continuously increasing. Well, according to the Indian Council of Medical Research, that's ICMR, a total of 20 crore 79,77,229 samples were tested so far. Of these, 6,44,931 samples were tested on the 16th of February. Well, a batch of foreign envoys arrived in Jammu and Kashmir, Srinagar today for a visit to the Union Territory. The envoys hailing from 24 nations are visiting this particular part of the delegation visiting the Union Territory. Upon their arrival, the delegation was accorded a traditional welcome. And the envoys then reach Magam block of Budgam district, where they were briefed on the Panchayati Raj and grievances redressal through back-to-back villages and block. The delegation also interacted with locals. The delegation thereafter is scheduled to visit Hazrat Bal Dargah in the evening and then meet the civil society people at the Sher-e-Kashmir International Convention Center. Well, let's now take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world on how things are. The tally of COVID-19 patients or cases worldwide has surpassed 11 crores 32,576. The total recovery stand at 8 crore 48 lakh 50,103. Deadly virus has claimed over 24 lakh 29,000 lives globally. US continues to remain the worst affected from COVID-19, where more than 2 crore 83 lakh 81,000 cases have been registered. The country has reported over 4 lakh 99,991 deaths due to COVID-19. Well, US President Joe Biden today pitched in with his stimulus bill in Wisconsin. While addressing the people of America in Wisconsin town hall, Biden has affirmed that by the end of July, United States will have over 600 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines, which will be enough to vaccinate every single American. While taking questions from Americans on the coronavirus pandemic at Wisconsin, President Biden mentioned about his administration plans on combating racial disparities in COVID-19 vaccine distribution. President Biden shared his plans to combat racial disparities in the vaccine distribution and sending 1 million doses a week to community centers and making vaccines available to more than 6,000 pharmacies, mobile vans and units. He also urged the countrymen to get any coronavirus vaccines they can. He also pointed out that the country may be back to normal by next Christmas. Speaking about Trump, US President Joe Biden said any decision to prosecute the former president will be left to the Department of Justice. Well, in a study released on Sunday, scientists have found 7 variants of the novel coronavirus in US with a mutation in the same position in these genes. Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center said that public should not have any serious concerns yet if these 7 variants with the same mutations could make the virus more contagious. It further said that for an individual patient, it's almost certain that these differences are not going to mean anything clinically, although it can't be ruled out. Well, massive testing campaign has started in the northern French city of Dunkirk as the variant that was first detected in the general in Great Britain spreads rapidly in the region. Residents of the city as well as the neighboring towns of Bruges, Capella-Brook and Warmont can get tested for free at the center set up specifically to counter the variant. Preliminary results show about 10% of the population are infected, with 80% of those infected people testing positive for the variant that was first detected in Britain. Meanwhile, the French government has so far decided not to declare a local lockdown or close schools, and 2004 additional Moderna vaccine doses have also been allotted to Dunkirk to speed up vaccinations in that particular city. Well, the Brazilian city of Rio de Janeiro will halt COVID-19 vaccinations from Wednesday due to a lack of shots. They said that the vaccination will only begin with a new lot of shots arriving and the delivery not expected until next week. The halt to vaccination illustrates the patchy nature of Brazil's vaccine rollout, which has been blighted with delays and a lack of supplies. Well, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte called on the country to respect a nighttime curfew, saying it was still needed to fight the coronavirus pandemic despite legal order to drop it. The court earlier stated that the measure lacked a legal basis. Rutte maintained that the curfew was needed to prevent a surge in infections due to a more contagious new mutation of the virus. Rutte's coronavirus policy was dealt a major blow when the court said his government had failed to make clear why it was necessary to use emergency power at his stage of the pandemic. The court said it would rule later whether the curfew should remain in place until the appeal hearing, which is to be held as soon as possible. Well, Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon on Tuesday said that pupils in Scotland will begin returning to schools from February 22nd, but the move would mean wider COVID-19 lockdown restrictions and may have to stay in place longer. She also announced that a phased return would go ahead as previously planned, with some age groups allowed to return next week and others dependent on the success of the move and data on overall infection rates. The coronavirus pandemic has meant students have been at home since before Christmas. Well, the United States said it is disturbed by reports of additional criminal charges filed against Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi, who remains detained after the military staged a coup on the 1st of February. Lawyers of Aung San Suu Kyi said that the police had filed a second charge of violation of natural disaster management law after she was earlier charged with illegally importing walkie-talkies.
That the military has charged State Counsel Aung San Suu Kyi with additional criminal acts. As we have before, we call on the Burmese military to immediately release all unjustly detained civilian and political leaders, journalists, and human rights activists and other members of civil society, as well as to restore the democratically elected government.
Well, a rocket attack on the US-led forces in northern Iraq has killed a civilian contractor on Monday and injured a US service member. The rockets landed in and around the military air base operated by the coalition at Erbil International Airport. The attack, claimed by a little-known group that some Iraqi officials said had links with Iran, raised tensions as Washington explores some degree of détente with Tehran. The US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said that the country was outraged by the attack.
Secretary Blinken has reached out to the Kurdistan Regional Government Prime Minister Barzani, and Secretary Austin is speaking with his counterpart to offer assistance with the investigation and to help hold accountable those responsible for this attack, but we have not determined attribution at this point. Diplomacy is a priority with this administration and something that is front and center to our engagement with our global partners around the world, and certainly these calls are evidence of that, but that will always be a part of our strategy as well.
Well, White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki on Tuesday announced that the U.S. President Joe Biden is planning to recalibrate U.S. relations with Saudi Arabia and will communicate through the Saudi King Salman bin Abdulaziz rather than the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Psaki said Saudi Arabia has critical self-defense needs, and the U.S. will work with the Saudis on this, even as we make clear areas where we have disagreements and where we have concerns. And this certainly is a shift from the prior administration.
Our relationship with Saudi Arabia, and that President Biden, one of the questions there was also, just to go back to the context of it, whether he would be speaking with MBS, and part of that is going back to engagement counterpart to counterpart. I don't have a prediction of the timeline on that. Saudi Arabia is in a position where they are defending themselves from threats from the region. They have critical self-defense needs, and we will continue to work with them on those, even as we make clear areas where we have disagreements and where we have concerns. And that's certainly a shift from the approach of the prior administration.
Well, in relation to Israel, Psaki told reporters that Biden plans to call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Psaki said that Israel is a country where we have an important strategic security relation and the team is fully engaged.
with a leader in the region will be with Prime Minister Netanyahu. It will be soon. I don't have an exact day for you, but it is soon. Stay tuned. Israel is, of course, an ally. Israel is a country where we have an important strategic security relationship, and our team is fully engaged. Not at the head of state level quite yet, but very soon. But our team is fully engaged, having constant conversations at many levels with the Israelis.
Well, U.S. Special Envoy for Yemen, Timothy Lenderking, on Tuesday said that the U.S. is very aggressively using back channels to communicate with Yemen's Houthi movement. He said that they do have ways of getting messages to the Houthis, and they are using those channels very aggressively as they are engaging in person with the relationship with the leadership of the key countries involved.
Elaborate a little bit more about what Iran putting its best foot forward.
We do have ways of getting messages to the Houthis, and we are using those channels very aggressively as we're engaging, as I mentioned, in person with the leaderships of the key countries involved.
Well, French National Assembly on Tuesday approved legislation designed to counter a rise in Islamism in some French towns and cities, which the government says threatens the unity of the republic. The legislation is framed as a text that strengthens French core values, principles of equality, liberty and freedom without singling out any particular region, cracking down on practices such as forced marriages and virginity test. Unveiled on the 115th anniversary of the adoption of the law that enshrined the separation of state and religion in France, the legislation has been branded by some on the left as an attack on Islam and as too weak by the far right. The bill passed by 347 votes to 151 in Parliament's lower house, where President Emmanuel Macron's centrist ruling party and its allies are holding a commanding majority. The legislation now moves to the Senate, where the center-right opposition dominates. Well, thousands of protesters took to the street in Barcelona demanding the release of rapper Pablo Hasél, who has been arrested by the Spanish police on charges of glorifying terrorism and insulting royalty in his songs. At some places, there were clashes between protesters and riot police when officers tried to disperse the crowd using batons and foam projectiles. Hasél, known for his radical leftist views, missed the deadline last Friday to surrender to the police to serve a 9-month jail term handed down in 2018. Hasél was convicted over lyrics and tweets that include references to the Basque separatist paramilitary group ETA, compared Spanish judges to Nazis, and called former King Juan Carlos a mafia boss. Well, Hong Kong advisory panel on Tuesday recommended the emergency use of the Chinese vaccine Sinovac in Hong Kong, a semi-autonomous city region where Beijing has tightened its grip last year. The decision, after resisting it for months due to the lack of peer-reviewed data, is expected to pave the way for the local administration to authorize its use in the city. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, the only formally approved COVID-19 vaccine in Hong Kong for now, was required to have published results in a medical journal before being examined by the advisory panel. It is to be noted that the World Health Organization, that's WHO, is yet to approve the Sinovac vaccine. Well, thick smoke rose into the sky over the Italian island of Sicily on Tuesday as Europe's highest and most active volcano, Mount Etna, erupted. Lava as a carpet of ash blanketed the streets on Catania. The 3,300-meter high volcano can burst into spectacular action several times a year, spewing lava and ash high from the Mediterranean island. The last major eruption was in 1992. Well, Northern Ireland, moving to Australian Open and taking a look at surprises in store and a big morning of upsets. World number 1 Ashley Barty has been knocked out of the Australian Open, and she has been knocked out in a 3-set thriller there. She managed to win the opening set, but then lost the next next 2 sets there, and was knocked out of the Open. Karolina Muchkova, the big player who's defeated the top-ranked Ashley Barty, reaching the semi-finals there and losing by 1-6, 6-3, 6-2. Ashley Barty had a break and a set there, but was unable to stop Muchkova's comeback. Well, for more on the Prime Minister's event that's going to take place shortly from now, where we're going to get you live images, we've got our correspondent Arun Sharma joining us. Arun, give us the significance of this particular event, especially when you went purely in talking in terms of this particular magnitude and the industry that this particular Prime Minister's message caters to.
Absolutely, Anil. Well, the size and the scale of this event by the NASSCOM has increased exponentially over the past few years, and we have seen that how the top global, the top leaders of the big conglomerates and the tech giants are also going to participate as far as this big forum is concerned. From Microsoft to IBM, to Accenture, to SAP, Novartis, all these big top conglomerates and the big tech giants are going to participate as far as this NASSCOM event is concerned. Now, it is also very much significant because close to 1,600 participants are participating, and 30 world-class products and solutions will be showcased on this international platform that primarily, gives solutions to the post-COVID world, the challenges of the post-COVID world. Now, this event is also important because because this is the first event by the NASSCOM in the post-COVID world and in this new decade that starts from 2021 till 2030. So we know this fact that in this post-COVID world, everything is going to change. Right from the way the agriculture to education to fintech sector, everything has changed as far as this new post-COVID world is concerned. And how can the tech startups and the tech giants of our country can play an important role in giving solutions to the challenges that we are going to face in this new decade? It is also important because in last 8 to 9 months, government has played an important role in providing a better ecosystem to the tech giants of our country and the IT industry of our country. Well, the policy level change as far as the government has done, as far as now the IT employees can work from anywhere. So this is a big step, it is considered in the IT industry, because now the logistical cost, the infrastructure cost of the IT industry is going down, and they are in return spending more as far as human resources are concerned, as far as skill development of the human resources are concerned. And in that way, more employment generation is taking place. So in that context, this event is going to be very much significant, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision in this new post-COVID world, and of course in this new decade, as far as artificial intelligence, the IT sector, the IT industry, the artificial intelligence is what is the vision of the PM Modi. That is going to be very much important. So it's indeed a very important event of the NASSCOM.
Okay, considering the platform that is there, the NASSCOM platform, it's a platform that's the voice of roughly around $190 billion industry. Having said that, the vision of a self-reliant India is also being spoken about. So would you see, footprints of a self-reliant India and the role that NASSCOM and technology will have to play to be on the forefront when the Prime Minister addresses the industry leaders?
Well, we know this fact, Anil, that during the COVID pandemic time, it was Prime Minister Narendra Modi's idea and vision to start Atmanirbhar Bharat App Innovation Challenge. And out of this app innovation challenge, we have got some world-class products, after this challenge, be it the Indian startups or the Indian application, the mobile application companies, which are giving tough competition to the big social networking sites, big international social networking sites. Be it in the fintech sector, be it in the agriculture tech sector, be it in the education tech sector. It is the Indian companies who are giving tough competition to the big multinational companies. It is because of the Atmanirbhar Bharat App Innovation Challenge. Second important aspect, in last 6.5 years, we have seen that how government has created a conducive environment.
Arun, I'll ask you to hold your thoughts there. The Prime Minister to address the Leadership, Technology and Leadership Forum.
Namaste, Modi ji. Mananiya Pradhan Mantri ji, respected leaders of the tech industry and dear friends, it is my tremendous pleasure and privilege to welcome all of you to the 29th edition of NASSCOM Tech and Leadership Forum. This is our first ever virtual forum connecting thought leaders and IT community across 30 countries. Welcome to all of you. प्रधानमंत्री जी, पिछले वर्ष इसी समय हम सब मुंबई में थे for NTLF 2020, or we were aware of the COVID virus that had broken out in China, but we were very hopeful about 2020. We had a record year in 2019. And none of us at that point knew the extent to which our lives and our businesses would get disrupted in a matter of weeks. 2020 was the ultimate stress test for the industry, for their resilience, for its relevance, and for its staying power. जिस समय लॉकडाउन का घोषणा हुआ, उसी समय बहुत सारे ग्लोबल एनालिस्ट और एक्सपर्ट्स ने तेजी से अनाउंस कर दिया, दिस इज द एंड ऑफ इंडियन आईटी. इंडियन आईटी अभी और कुछ नहीं कर सकेगा, दे कैन नॉट ओवरकम दिस. लेकिन हम हारने वाले नहीं थे. एंड हियर I want to express how grateful we are to you, to the government, our Minister of IT, MeitY, the DOT, who have worked with us every step of the way to overcome every single challenge that we faced as an industry. Today, I feel really proud that the world is not just applauding India's fight against COVID, but the world has also taken note of the tremendous efforts of India's tech industry and how we have kept the world's business running, schools running, hospitals running, banks running. And it's not just the large companies, our startups, our tech SMEs, our product companies, everybody stepped up in the fight against COVID, and we worked together to ensure that technology became the lifeline for our lives and our livelihood. Pradhan Mantri ji, I am very proud to represent an industry जो भविष्य के हाथों अपना भाग्य नहीं सौंपा. In fact, हम खुद अपने भविष्य के निर्माता बने. You know, the opportunities ahead of us are tremendous to rebuild a future we want. And today, I'm really thrilled that I have with us several leading voices of the industry to share some of these opportunities with you. So I would like to invite Rishad Premji, Chairman Wipro, to start off the discussion with his thoughts.
Thank you, Devjani, and thank you, respected Pradhan Mantri ji, for joining us for your second time at the NASSCOM Technology and Leadership Forum. I remember the first time you joined us in 2018, we launched the Future Skills platform, which has become an important part of the industry. जैसे आपको पता है, sir, technology is becoming the lifeline for us as individuals and as for businesses. And if there was ever any doubt, I think 2020 has shown us just how foundational technology has become. This is also reflected in the fact, sir, that the industry this year, in the year finishing March 31st, 2021, will grow at 2.3%. It will add $4 billion in revenue and create net new jobs of 138,000 people, net new jobs this year. One of the key reasons, sir, that the industry has been able to adapt well is because of the support we have gotten from the government to enable our employees to work from home. Within the first few weeks of the lockdown, over 90% of our employees were working from home. And even today, about 90% of our people continue to work from home. What is most impressive is that the government has appreciated the value of a permanent model, of a permanent hybrid model, sir, jahan log partially work from office and partially work from home. This hybrid model, I believe, will be a huge competitive advantage for the industry. It will be more inclusive for employees who need flexibility to work from home. And also as a nation, it will allow us to access talent from anywhere. Jahan bhi log hai, hum unhe access kar sakte hain. This is a new model, and we will have to work together to figure out what is the optimal, ultimate structure this new hybrid model will have. Given the strong partnership between MeitY, between the Department of Telecom, between NASSCOM, and the industry companies at large, we can strengthen India to truly make us a talent nation for the world by accessing talent from anywhere as this work from home model becomes a reality. The continued progressive policies of the government will continue to help us progress on this path. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Rishad. I would like to request Tiger Tyagarajan, CEO Genpact, to share his comment.
Thank you, Devjani, and thank you, Minister Ji, for the opportunity to be able to speak to you. I wanted to personally thank you for the recently announced OSP reforms that the government announced. And not only was it an important short-term measure to address the pandemic, but even more importantly, it truly illustrates the ability to build policies that can support the growth of this industry over the very long term. While the COVID crisis in India is under control right now, more than 90%, as Rishad said, of our employees are still working from home. And in many cases, they're working from their hometowns. And as business leaders, we are now evaluating what is the right structure for the future, how this industry can move forward from originally being very concentrated in metros, very concentrated in operating centers. Is it possible, and can we dream of a vision where actually this is more disaggregated across the hinterland of India? This can be a huge positive for a country like India, where growth is spread across multiple smaller towns and talent is accessed from those towns. They work there, they live there, and they thrive there. And the multiplier effect that can have beyond just the metro cities in terms of its impact on education, on the economy, on healthcare, on retail in those towns, that is the vision that I think is really, really exciting. To accelerate that kind of a shift, it'll be great if the government can consider supporting the STPI, SEZ kind of centers in the distributed landscape of India, in the smaller towns, and also strengthen India's data protection and data privacy laws, because that's obviously a big and important concern for our industry as we continue to grow and spread. But I think it's really exciting to be able to sit at the beginning of that kind of a trend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tiger. I would now like to request Rekha Menon, Chairperson, Accenture India, and Vice Chairperson, NASCOM.
Namaste. Honorable Prime Minister, I want to start by thanking you for the support given to our industry in the last year. We have huge opportunities ahead of us. The pandemic, for example, has accelerated digital transformation across the world. And this presents us in India with a big economic opportunity, both locally and globally. And our over 4.5 million strong technology talent base can act as a foundation for India to emerge as a digital talent nation, which is really to become the skill hubs for the world. And for that to happen, we have to do three things. One, continue investing in the upskilling and reskilling of our existing talent. Two, broad base our talent source, which is beyond the metro locations. And three, build the talent pipeline at the college and school level. To that end, as Rishad mentioned, in 2018, you had launched the Future Skills platform that NASCOM and METI collaborated on. We have now launched its next avatar, which is Future Skills Prime, which is first of its kind national digital skilling platform, which is again collaborating across multiple stakeholders, METI, NASCOM, government, academia, industry, all with one common vision, which is to build digital skills among students and professionals across India. Second, the national education policy has identified all the right measures to lay a strong foundation at the school level. And we would urge the government for its speedy implementation. And third, but not the least, we would request that the talent and skills theme be strongly embedded in your vision of technology so that India really becomes the digital capital of the world. Thank you.
और प्रधानमंत्री जी, आपको जान के खुशी होगा कि फ्यूचर स्किल्स प्राइम within 2 months of launch has 140,000 Indians being trained on it. तो बहुत ही traction अच्छा हो रहा है, and we'll keep you updated. Last but not the least, my tremendous pleasure to introduce Padma Shri Sridhar Vembu, CEO Zoho, to say a few words. Sridhar.
Namaskar. Atmanirbhar Bharat is a great initiative, and thank you for your vision, our respected Pradhan Mantri ji. Now it's time for the private sector to step forward to realize that vision. We in the private sector need to build the very products and technologies we rely on in our homes, in our businesses, in the government, in healthcare, in our national defense. And all of these have to be built in India. And from smartphones to 5G networks, from mapping software, which we recently, the government initiated reforms in that area, much needed, thank you for that, to semiconductor fabs, from infusion pumps to MRI machines, from drones to fighter jets. Being able to build these products is what will make us a product nation, strong, confident, and secure. The private sector should go from the trader mindset to the maker mindset and the make in India mindset. To achieve this dream, we need to invest in R&D, strong domestic R&D, and invest to acquire the skills, the know-how, and the capabilities across our workforce. And experience in advanced countries show that these R&D centers can be actually built in rural areas. For example, from Bell Labs, IBM Research, Siemens R&D, all of these have been in rural towns, small towns and rural areas. And in India, we have a vast rural talent pool that is waiting for that opportunity to gain the advanced skills and take part in the global economy. And the private sector should play a leading role in building this capability and skills. And our own experience in our Tenkasi R&D center, where I am located, demonstrated this is very much possible. When we achieve this, we actually will cut down our trade deficit and becomes a trade surplus. Our GDP will vastly expand and our living standards will vastly rise. So this is the vision of Atmanirbhar, and thank you for that vision, Tamil Nadu, and we pledge to achieve this vision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sridhar. It is now my tremendous pleasure to request Pradhan Mantri ji to please share his few thoughts and deliver the opening address.
नमस्कार। इस बार नेस्कॉम का टेक्नोलॉजी और लीडरशिप फोरम मेरी दृष्टि से बहुत विशेष है। एक ऐसा समय है जब दुनिया भारत की तरफ पहले से कहीं ज्यादा उम्मीद और भरोसे के साथ देख रही है। हमारे यहां कहा गया है, ना दैन्यम न पलायनम, यानी चुनौती कितनी भी मुश्किल हो, हमें खुद को कमजोर नहीं समझना चाहिए और ना ही चुनौती से डरकर पलायन करना चाहिए। कोरोना के दौरान भारत के ज्ञान विज्ञान, हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी ने न सिर्फ खुद को साबित किया है, बल्कि खुद को इवॉल्व भी किया है। एक समय था जब हम स्मॉल पॉक्स के टीके के लिए भी दूसरे देशों पर निर्भर थे। एक समय यह भी है जब हम दुनिया के अनेकों देशों को मेड इन इंडिया कोरोना वैक्सीन दे रहे हैं। कोरोना के दौरान भारत ने जो सॉल्यूशंस दिए, वो आज पूरी दुनिया के लिए प्रेरणा है। और जैसा अभी आप सब साथियों को मुझे सुनने का मौका मिला, कुछ सीईओज ने जो बताया, इसमें भी भारत की आईटी इंडस्ट्री ने कमाल करके दिखाया है। When the chips were down, your core kept things running. जब पूरा देश घर की चार दीवारी में सिमट गया था, तब आप घर से ही इंडस्ट्री को स्मूथली चला रहे थे। बीते साल के आंकड़े दुनिया को भले ही चकित करते हो, आपकी क्षमताओं को देखते हुए भारत के लोगों को यह बहुत स्वाभाविक लगता है। साथियों, ऐसी स्थिति में जब हर सेक्टर कोरोना से प्रभावित था, तब भी आपने करीब 2% की ग्रोथ हासिल की। जब डी ग्रोथ की आशंकाएं जताई जा रही थी, तब भी अगर भारत की आईटी इंडस्ट्री अपने रेवेन्यू में $4 बिलियन और जोड़े, तो ये सचमुच में प्रशंसनीय है और आप सारी टीम अभिनंदन के अधिकारी हैं। इस दौरान लाखों नए रोजगार देकर आईटी इंडस्ट्री ने सिद्ध किया है कि वो भारत के विकास का मजबूत पिलर क्यों है। आज तमाम डेटा, हर इंडिकेटर ये दिखा रहे हैं कि आईटी इंडस्ट्री का ये ग्रोथ मोमेंटम ऐसे ही नई बुलंदियां छूने वाला है। साथियों, नया भारत, हर भारतवासी प्रगति के लिए अधीर है। हमारी सरकार नए भारत के युवाओं की इस भावना को समझती है। 130 करोड़ से अधिक भारतीयों की आकांक्षाएं हमें तेजी से आगे बढ़ने के लिए प्रेरित करती हैं। नए भारत से जुड़ी अपेक्षाएं जितनी सरकार से हैं, उतनी ही आपसे भी है, देश के प्राइवेट सेक्टर से भी है। साथियों, भारत की आईटी इंडस्ट्री ने अपने फुटप्रिंट्स ग्लोबल प्लेटफॉर्म पर बरसों पहले जमा दिए थे। पूरी दुनिया को हमारे भारतीय हमारे एक्सपर्ट्स सर्विसेज और सॉल्यूशन देने में नेतृत्व कर रहे थे, योगदान दे रहे थे। लेकिन कुछ कारण रहे कि भारत का जो विशाल डोमेस्टिक मार्केट है, उसका लाभ आईटी इंडस्ट्री को नहीं मिल पाया। इस वजह से भारत में डिजिटल डिवाइड बढ़ता गया। एक तरह से हम कहते हैं, और हम कह सकते हैं, दिया तले अंधेरा वाली बात हमारे सामने थी। हमारी सरकार की नीतियां और निर्णय गवाह है कि कैसे बीते वर्षों में हमारी सरकार ने इस अप्रोच को बदल दिया है। साथियों, हमारी सरकार भी ये भली भांति जानती है कि बंधनों में भविष्य की लीडरशिप विकसित नहीं हो सकती, और इसलिए सरकार द्वारा टेक इंडस्ट्री को अनावश्यक रेगुलेशन से, बंधनों से बाहर निकालने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है। नेशनल डिजिटल कम्युनिकेशन पॉलिसी एक ऐसा ही बड़ा प्रयास था। भारत को ग्लोबल सॉफ्टवेयर प्रोडक्ट हब बनाने के लिए नेशनल पॉलिसी भी बनाई गई। सुधारों का यह सिलसिला कोरोना काल में भी जारी रहा। कोरोना काल में ही अदर सर्विस प्रोवाइडर ओएसपी गाइडलाइंस को जारी किया गया, अभी जिसका आपकी चर्चा में उल्लेख भी हुआ। इससे नई परिस्थितियों में आपके लिए काम करना आसान हुआ। आपके काम को कम से कम रुकावट का सामना करना पड़ा। आज भी, जैसे आप में से कुछ मित्रों ने बताया, कि 90% से ज्यादा लोग अपने घरों से काम कर रहे हैं। इतना ही नहीं, कुछ लोग तो अपने मूल गांव से काम कर रहे हैं। देखिए, ये अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ी ताकत बनने वाला है। 12 चैंपियन सर्विस सेक्टर्स में इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी को भी शामिल करने का लाभ भी आपको होना शुरू हुआ है। साथियों, 2 दिन पहले ही एक और महत्वपूर्ण पॉलिसी रिफॉर्म किया गया है, जिसका आप सभी ने भी स्वागत किया है। मैप और जियो स्पेशल डेटा को कंट्रोल से मुक्त करके इसको इंडस्ट्री के लिए खोल देना एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कदम है। एक ऐसा कदम है जो इस फोरम की थीम जो है, शेपिंग द फ्यूचर टवर्ड्स ए बेटर नॉर्मल, मैं समझता हूं इसके साथ एक प्रकार से आपके समिट का पूर्वाश्रम का जो काम है वो सरकार ने कर दिया है। ये ऐसा कदम है जो हमारे टेक स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम को शाश्वत करने वाला है, सशक्त करने वाला है। ये ऐसा कदम है जो सिर्फ आईटी इंडस्ट्री नहीं बल्कि आत्मनिर्भर भारत में व्यापक मिशन को मजबूत बनाता है। मुझे याद है आप में से अनेक एंटरप्रेन्योर्स मैप्स और जियो स्पेशल डेटा से जुड़े रिस्ट्रिक्शंस और रेड टेप से जुड़ी बातें अलग अलग फोरम पर रखते रहे हैं। और मैं एक बात बता दूं, इन सारे विषयों में सबसे बड़ा जो एक प्रकार से रेड लाइट दिखाया जाता था वो सिक्योरिटी से संदर्भ भी होता था कि ये चीजें अगर खुल जाएगी, सिक्योरिटी को संकट हो जाएगा, ये बार बार आता था। लेकिन सिक्योरिटी के इश्यूज को भी हैंडल करने के लिए आत्मविश्वास बहुत बड़ी ताकत होता है और आज भारत आत्मविश्वास से भरा हुआ है। सीमा पर हम देख रहे हैं और तभी इस प्रकार के निर्णय भी संभव होते हैं। ये निर्णय सिर्फ टेक्नोलॉजी के दायरे का नहीं है, ये निर्णय सिर्फ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिफॉर्म ऐसा नहीं है, ये निर्णय सिर्फ सरकार एक नीति नियमों से हट गए ऐसा नहीं है, ये निर्णय भारत के सामर्थ्य का परिचायक है। भारत को विश्वास है कब ये निर्णय करने के बाद भी हम देश को सुरक्षित भी रख पाएंगे और देश के नौजवानों को विश्व के अंदर अपना लोहा मनवाने के लिए अवसर भी देंगे। साथियों, मेरी भी जब आप जैसे साथियों के साथ चर्चा होती थी तो इस समस्या का एहसास मुझे होता था। अपने युवा उद्यमियों को, हमारे स्टार्टअप्स को दुनिया में पैदा हुए नए अवसरों का लाभ उठाने के लिए पूरी आजादी मिलनी चाहिए। इसी सोच के साथ ये फैसला लिया गया है। सरकार को देश के नागरिकों पर, हमारे स्टार्टअप्स पर और इनोवेटर्स पर पूरा भरोसा है। इसी भरोसे के साथ सेल्फ सर्टिफिकेशन को प्रोत्साहित किया जा रहा है। साथियों, बीते 6 सालों में आईटी इंडस्ट्री ने जो प्रोडक्ट्स, जो समाधान तैयार किए हैं, उनको हमने गवर्नेंस का महत्वपूर्ण हिस्सा बनाया है। विशेष तौर पर डिजिटल इंडिया ने, डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी ने सामान्य से सामान्य भारतीय को सशक्त किया है, सरकार से उसको जोड़ा है। आज डेटा को भी डेमोक्रेटाइज किया गया है और लास्ट माइल सर्विस डिलीवरी भी प्रभावी हुई है। आज सैकड़ों सरकारी सर्विसेज की डिलीवरी ऑनलाइन की जा रही है। गवर्नेंस में टेक्नोलॉजी के प्रभावी उपयोग से गरीब और मध्यम वर्ग को सुविधा के साथ साथ करप्शन से भी बड़ी राहत मिली है। हमारे फिनटेक प्रोडक्ट्स और यूपीआई जैसे डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म की चर्चा तो आज पूरी दुनिया में है। वर्ल्ड बैंक समेत इसके सामर्थ्य की चर्चा कर रहे हैं। कैसे 3-4 साल के भीतर भीतर एक हैवीली कैश डिपेंडेंट सोसाइटी, उससे हम लेस कैश सोसाइटी की तरफ मक्कमता पूर्वक बढ़ चले हैं, ये हमारे सामने है। जितना डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन ज्यादा होता जा रहा है, काले धन के स्रोत उतने ही कम हो रहे हैं। जेम ट्रिनिटी और डीबीटी के कारण ही आज गरीब के हक की पाई पाई उस तक बिना किसी लीकेज के पहुंच पा रही है। साथियों, ट्रांसपेरेंसी यानी पारदर्शिता गुड गवर्नेंस की सबसे अहम शर्त होती है। यही बदलाव अब देश की शासन व्यवस्था में हो रहा है। यही कारण है कि हर सर्वे में भारत सरकार पर जनता का भरोसा लगातार मजबूत से मजबूत हो रहा है। अब सरकारी कामकाज को सरकारी रजिस्ट्रों से बाहर निकालकर डैशबोर्ड पर लाया जा रहा है। प्रयास ये है कि सरकार और सरकारी विभाग की हर गतिविधि को देश का सामान्य नागरिक अपने फोन पर देख सके, जो भी काम हो वो देश के सामने हो। साथियों, गवर्नमेंट प्रोक्योरमेंट को लेकर पहले कैसे कैसे सवाल उठते थे, ये हम में से कौन है जो नहीं जानता है। हम भी तो चर्चा में वही बोलते थे, हम भी वही सुनते थे, हम भी चिंता व्यक्त करते थे। अब आज डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करते हुए पूरी पारदर्शिता के साथ गवर्नमेंट ई मार्केट प्लेस यानी GEM के जरिए खरीद की जा रही है। आज ज्यादातर सरकारी टेंडर ऑनलाइन मंगाए जाते हैं। हमारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर से जुड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स हो या गरीबों के घर, हर प्रोजेक्ट्स की जियो टैगिंग की जा रही है ताकि वो समय पर पूरे किया जा सके। यहां तक कि आज गांवों के घरों की मैपिंग ड्रोन से की जा रही है। टैक्स से जुड़े मामलों में भी ह्यूमन इंटरफेस को कम किया जा रहा है। फेसलेस व्यवस्था विकसित की जा रही है। टेक्नोलॉजी से सामान्य जन को तेज, सटीक और पारदर्शी व्यवस्था देना ही तो मिनिमम गवर्नमेंट, मैक्सिमम गवर्नेंस, मेरी दृष्टि से वही उसका मतलब है। साथियों, आज विश्व में जो भारतीय टेक्नोलॉजी की छवि है, जो पहचान है, उसे देखते हुए देश को आपसे बहुत ज्यादा उम्मीद है, बहुत ज्यादा अपेक्षाएं हैं। आपने ये सुनिश्चित किया है कि हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी ज्यादा से ज्यादा मेड इन इंडिया हो। मेरा आपसे आग्रह है कि आपके सॉल्यूशन में भी अब मेक फॉर इंडिया की छाप होनी चाहिए। अगर हमें मल्टीपल डोमेन्स में इंडियन टेक्नोलॉजी लीडरशिप की ओर आगे बढ़ना है, इस मोमेंटम को बनाए रखना है, तो हमें अपनी कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस के नए मापदंड बनाने होंगे। हमें अपने आप से स्पर्धा करनी ही होगी। ग्लोबल टेक्नोलॉजी लीडर बनने के लिए इनोवेशन और एंटरप्राइज के साथ ही भारतीय आईटी सेक्टर को कल्चर ऑफ एक्सेलेंस और इंस्टीट्यूशन बिल्डिंग, उस पर भी उतना ही ध्यान देना होगा। ऐसे में मेरा अपने स्टार्टअप फाउंडर्स के लिए एक विशेष संदेश है। खुद को सिर्फ वैल्यूएशंस और एग्जिट स्ट्रेटेजीज तक ही सीमित मत करिए। थिंक हाउ यू कैन क्रिएट इंस्टीट्यूशन that will outlet this century. Think how you can create world-class product that will set the global benchmark on excellence. There can be no compromise on these twin goals, for without them we will always be a follower and not a global leader. साथियों, इस वर्ष हम अपनी आजादी के 75 वर्ष में प्रवेश कर रहे हैं। ये बहुत सही समय है नए लक्ष्य बनाने का, उन्हें प्राप्त करने के लिए पूरी ताकत लगा देने का। अब से 25-26 साल बाद जब भारत अपनी स्वतंत्रता के 100 वर्ष मनाएगा, जब हम सेंचुरी सेलिब्रेट करते होंगे, तब कितने नए वर्ल्ड क्लास प्रोडक्ट्स हमने दिए होंगे, कितने ग्लोबल लीडर्स हमने बनाए होंगे, ये सोचकर हमें अभी से काम करना होगा। आप लक्ष्य तय करिए, देश आपके साथ है। भारत की इतनी बड़ी आबादी आपकी बहुत बड़ी ताकत है। बीते महीनों में हमने देखा है कि कैसे भारत के लोगों में टैक्स सॉल्यूशंस के लिए बेसब्री बढ़ी है। लोग नए टैक्स सॉल्यूशंस का इंतजार कर रहे हैं। लोग नई चीजें ट्राई करना चाहते हैं और खासकर भारतीय एप्लीकेशंस के लिए तो उनमें एक उत्साह है। देश मन बना चुका है। आप भी मन बनाइए। साथियों, 21वीं सदी में भारत की चुनौतियां और उसके समाधान के लिए प्रोएक्टिव टेक्नोलॉजिकल सॉल्यूशन देना आईटी इंडस्ट्री, टेक इंडस्ट्री, इनोवेटर्स, रिसर्चर्स, यंग माइंड, इनका बहुत बड़ा दायित्व है। अब जैसे हमारी खेती में पानी और फर्टिलाइजर की जरूरत से ज्यादा उपयोग से बहुत बड़ी समस्या आती है, क्या इंडस्ट्री को ऐसी स्मार्ट टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए काम नहीं करना चाहिए जो आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का उपयोग करते हुए हर फसल में पानी और फर्टिलाइजर की जरूरत के बारे में किसान को बता सके? सिर्फ टेक्नोलॉजी बनाने भर से ही काम नहीं चलेगा, इसको भारत में मास लेवल पर एडॉप्ट भी किया जा सके, ऐसे सॉल्यूशंस हमें तलाश करने हैं। इसी तरह हेल्थ एंड वेलनेस के डेटा की ताकत से गरीब को लाभ कैसे मिले, इसके लिए भी आज भारत आपकी तरफ देख रहा है। टेलीमेडिसिन को प्रभावी बनाने के लिए भी आपसे बेहतरीन सॉल्यूशंस की उम्मीद देश कर रहा है। साथियों, शिक्षा और स्किल डेवलपमेंट को लेकर भी टेक इंडस्ट्री को ऐसे समाधान देश को देने होंगे जो देश की बड़े से बड़ी आबादी को सुलभ हो। आज देश में अटल टिंकरिंग लैब से लेकर अटल इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर तक टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए स्कूल कॉलेज में ही माहौल बनाया जा रहा है। नई नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में एजुकेशन के साथ साथ स्किलिंग पर भी उतना ही जोर दिया गया है। ये प्रयास इंडस्ट्री के सहयोग के बिना सफल नहीं हो सकते। एक बात मैं ये भी कहूंगा कि आप अपनी सीएसआर एक्टिविटीज के आउटकम पर फिर ध्यान दीजिए। अगर आपकी सीएसआर एक्टिविटीज का फोकस देश के पिछड़े क्षेत्रों के बच्चों पर होगा, आप उन्हें डिजिटल एजुकेशन से ज्यादा जोड़ेंगे, उनमें एनालिटिकल थिंकिंग, लेटरल थिंकिंग डेवलप करेंगे, तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा गेम चेंजर होगा। सरकार अपनी तरफ से प्रयास कर रही है, लेकिन इसमें आपका साथ मिलना तो मैं समझता हूं बात कहां से कहां ले जा सकती है। इंडिया इज नॉट शॉर्ट ऑफ आइडियाज, इट नीड्स मेंटर्स हु कैन हेल्प टर्न आइडियाज इनटू रियलिटी। साथियों, आत्मनिर्भर भारत के बड़े सेंटर आज देश के टियर 2, टियर 3 शहर बनाते जा रहे हैं। यही छोटे शहर आज आईटी बेस्ड टेक्नोलॉजीज की डिमांड और ग्रोथ के भी बड़े सेंटर बनते जा रहे हैं। देश के इन छोटे शहरों के युवा अद्भुत इनोवेटर्स के रूप में सामने आ रहे हैं। सरकार का फोकस भी इन छोटे शहरों में बेहतर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के निर्माण पर है, ताकि वहां रहने वाले देशवासियों के साथ साथ आप जैसे उद्यमियों को भी असुविधा ना हो। जितना अधिक आप इन छोटे शहरों कस्बों की ओर जाएंगे, उतना ही अधिक उनका विकास होगा। साथियों, मुझे विश्वास है कि आने वाले 3 दिनों में आप वर्तमान और भविष्य के ऐसे ही समाधानों पर गंभीर चर्चा करेंगे। सरकार हमेशा की तरह आपके सुझावों पर गंभीरता से विचार करेगी। और मैं एक बात जरूर कहना चाहूंगा, पिछली बार 15 अगस्त को लाल किले से जब मैं बात कर रहा था, आपने सुना था, मैंने देश के सामने एक लक्ष्य रखा था कि 1000 दिन में हिंदुस्तान के 6 लाख गांवों में ऑप्टिकल फाइबर नेटवर्क का काम पूरा करना है। अब ऑप्टिकल फाइबर नेटवर्क ये तो एक स्केलेटन हो जाएगा और मैं पीछे लगा हूं तो शायद हम कर भी लेंगे, राज्य भी इसमें हमारे साथ जुड़ जाएंगे, लेकिन उसके बाद का जो काम है ना वो आपके दिमाग से जुड़ा हुआ है। ऑप्टिकल फाइबर नेटवर्क का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, हिंदुस्तान का गरीब भी गरीब इसका उपयोग कैसे करे, यूजर फ्रेंडली नए नए प्रोडक्ट कैसे आए, गांव का व्यक्ति भी सरकार से, बाजार से, बदलाव से, शिक्षा से, आरोग्य से कैसे जुड़े, ये स्केलेटन उसकी जिंदगी बदलने का एक बहुत बड़ा रास्ता कैसे बना सकता है। ये काम अभी से आपके यहां छोटे छोटे स्टार्टअप्स ऐसे प्रोडक्ट लेकर के आए कि गांव में ऑप्टिकल फाइबर पहुंचा कि गांव की इन 10 जरूरतें पूरी हो जाएगी। गांव के अंदर ऑप्टिकल फाइबर पहुंचा, गांव के बच्चों के जीवन में ये चीज बदलाव लाने के लिए मेरे पास रेडी है। आप देखिए कितना बड़ा अवसर है, कितना बड़ा अवसर है। और इसलिए मैं आपको निमंत्रण देता हूं कि सरकार इस काम को कर रही है। आप सोचिए, आजादी के 75 साल के लिए आप क्या कंट्रीब्यूट करेंगे, कुछ तय कीजिए। 2047 आजादी 100 साल के लिए मनाने की जाएगी। आपका रोड मैप क्या होगा, आपके लक्ष्य क्या होंगे, उन लक्ष्य को लेकर के कैसे चलना, उस पर तय कीजिए। हमें लीडरशिप लंबे अरसे तक लेनी है, हर क्षेत्र में लेनी है, पूरे सामर्थ्य के साथ लेनी है। और इस लीडरशिप के आपके इस चिंतन मनन से वो निकलेगा, वो अमृत देश को काम आएगा। इसी एक अपेक्षा के साथ मेरी आप सबको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
So much. And I would now like to request our NASCOM chairperson, Praveen Rao, to please give the vote of thanks.
Namaskar, Pradhan Mantri ji. Thank you very much for your inspiring words and direction for our industry and the country. Even today, our clients are impressed with strides made by Digital India. They are amazed with the scale and magnitude of what we have achieved. Technology is and will remain the Brahmastra for India's growth in the coming decade. We want to take this opportunity to thank you for your continued guidance to both NASCOM and all its members. India at 75 represents a new India driven by digital data and demographics. We look forward to continued support from the government. And on behalf of the industry, we want to assure you that we will leverage technology to drive innovation, help India become a global power in technology, as well as address some of the big challenges that the country is facing today. Our relationship is very special and has grown from strength to strength under your leadership, and look forward to continue the same. Thank you once again for spending and sparing your valuable time and addressing us today. Namaskar.
But Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressing the NASCOM Technology and Leadership Forum 2021, the Prime Minister clearly laying out the significant role that IT sector had to play, especially in the pandemic, the turnaround that IT helped, especially when it comes to creating millions of jobs. Also, when it comes to 2% of growth, that when there was reversal of growth that was being seen, IT was the only place where there was tremendous growth opportunity, and roughly around 2% of growth being seen there. $4 billion worth of business being conducted, especially in that pandemic and lockdown phase. So clearly IT having an important role to play, and the role of IT being significant in helping India become self-reliant. The Prime Minister also speaking about, gone are the times when India looked at the world for solutions. Now with the help of IT and the role that IT has to play, India is now a major significant player when it comes to providing solutions to the world. And he spoke about vaccine Maitri having an important role to play, while India having a vaccine of its own, and India not only managing to take care of its own citizens, but also helping other other countries, especially a few countries, in getting vaccines and helping them fight COVID-19. The Prime Minister clearly once again stressing on the fact that India is now providing vaccines to the world, and India is now a key player, especially in this fight against this particular pandemic. The Prime Minister now stressing on the IT industry, asking them for significant steps to be taken, especially in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, so that India can become self-reliant and those cities can also progress and join hands with the urban cities, as a result of which an IT would have an important role to play in helping India especially get on that road to being self-reliant or Atmanirbhar Bharat, as India looks to celebrate its 75th year of independence. The Prime Minister clearly laying out the blueprint on what exactly he's expecting from the IT industries, as this particular sector, especially when you look at this particular NASSCOM as a body, has roughly is actually the voice of $190 billion industry ecosystem that exists, especially in the IT sector. So clearly the Prime Minister laying out the blueprint and what he expects from the IT industry, and the IT industry too there, stepping up, promising, assuring the Prime Minister that all steps necessary will be taken to help India become self-reliant and India become a global player, especially in the years to come. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of news. Thanks for watching. You take good care. Bye-bye.